The Lark Max 2 reminds me of that friend that has to have an extra check bag and an extra carry-on just to go anywhere, whereas the DJI Mic 3 reminds me of that person that can grab a backpack for a week-long trip and they have everything that they need. So two different mics for two different kinds of people. This is more like that Boy Scout, always be prepared, but maybe you don't always need all of those things. And then, you know, just the bare minimum, but this thing certainly brings more than just the bare minimum, as you guys are about to see. So let's go ahead and dive into it. First, let's unpack this bag because, oh my goodness, did this friend bring everything and more. Of course, the nice thing is they do have everything that you could possibly need. So we're gonna go ahead and dump all of these little things out of here. Another wind muffin there. I mean, look at this. It's just like you need a concierge or a butler service just to carry this thing around. I'm joking, obviously. So let's start with just the cases. So this is the this would be just the cases. If you only grabbed that, then you would get these two things. So we have the Lark case, which does not have a locking mechanism, just something to note if you're wondering about that. And you only get the one display light for charging, which I actually don't care for. I prefer the locking mechanism on the Mic 3 and the fact that they give us the 4 lights, so it's really easy to tell how much battery you have inside of this thing. But let's open up and check out the insides. So one thing that some people might prefer is that this does have a separate dongle for the USB-C connection, whether it's to your phone or whatever. I actually don't prefer that because I don't care about how much smaller this is. I would rather have all of these extra features with the display and all of those things when I'm connecting it to my phone. So that's a little bit of a difference that might matter for some of you, just something to consider. If you really want that smaller form factor for your phone whenever you're doing it, then maybe this would be that better option for you. And again, the goal of the Better Buy is to give you the information you need on the stuff that you want so you can make the better buy. So here we have the transmitters. This is kind of a big deal here. The Mic 3 transmitters can keep everything on them at all times. You've got the little magnet clip, you've got the little dead cat, and it's really easy. I have it covered up because I prefer it that way. I'll go ahead and grab this little yellow guy so you can see he's got a nice little fro there. And if I wanted to have the dead cat on the Mic or the Lark Max, then I just put this guy on there, but you cannot leave this on when it's in the case. So just a little quality of life improvement, I would say. The ability to leave it on if you want it on is nice. The other thing about the Lark Max is going to be the magnetic part. You cannot leave the magnets on in the case. They give you these little adapters here. So we'll go ahead and grab these. This is what they look like. And oh, that's where that thing went. So this guy just goes right here just like this. Bink. And oh, I messed that. It's just this little sleeve that goes on the outside of the clip, and then you have the little magnet that's going to go right there. And they have 2 of these in the case, so you can see right there. That's what they look like. But that's what you have to go through to get a magnet onto the Lark Max. These are definitely designed just to clip straight on, and you cannot put these in the case. Let me show you that really quickly. Once this is on, even excluding the dead cat, you can't actually put this back in the case like that. So that means you're constantly having to remove and keep up with these little pieces. All right, and it's just not a good quality of life experience in my opinion, especially when we have something like the Mic 3 where this is just a part of the whole package and you get all the benefits without any of the hassle. And if you want to magnetically attach it, they do give you the little magnets right there. So you can just drop it onto your shirt, and I really like that. I just think that's a better whole system experience. When it comes to the dead cats, they're going to be roughly the same. The audio quality between these two is just going to be good. Like, I don't care which one you pick. You could clearly refine each of them to get exactly what you want. So I'm not going to really focus on those differences. They both have internal recording. This has 32 gigabytes of internal recording. I'm not sure how many gigabytes are inside the Hollyland. But it's going to be more than enough for most people. And then you do have the ability to connect 4 receivers or 4 transmitters to each of the receivers, depending on which system you buy. So there's that. Then as far as the buttons go, you've got the record feature right here. You've got the little control right there. They both only have 2 buttons on them. The Lark one has a USB-C down beneath, and that's so that you can connect a lav mic. So this is where we would have a breaking point right now. If you are someone that knows you must have the ability to have a lav mic, or at least you want that ability in the future, then currently the Lark Max is the way to go. I don't know if DJI is going to be able to give us the ability to put a lav mic onto this with some sort of an adapter. I guess we'll find out. I'm not sure if you can pass audio through these connection points. I believe that's only for charging, and although it does work for data transfer, so maybe, because that's how you transfer. If you want to transfer data off of these, you just drop them in the case, plug the case into your computer, and you get access to both of the mics as like USB devices. So this is the lav connection for the Hollyland. It's a little bit bigger. You know, you're definitely working with a much larger system there, but that would be clipped down to the side, so I don't see why that would be such a big hassle. And they've given us some nice lav mics. I've tested the audio out of these. They're really good. I'll do some of those audio tests in the future, but right now I want to focus on just the basic feature differences. So that's going to be the dead cat experience. This guy just pops off right there. And they do give us some of the, some other dead cat options for the lav mics. So if you wanted to, instead of using these little styrofoam or the foam ones, you could go with the dead cat. All right, that's pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and drop this back in, and that kind of brings us to the whole case. Like, that's all you get with this case. You can't put any cables in there. You can't add any magnets in there. That's it. Whereas the DJI Mic 3 case lets you keep the cables in there. You do have a locking audio jack, and you can have the magnets sitting tucked away in there if you want to. I really like the way that DJI did this whole thing. It's just so simple and smooth to use. But let's go ahead and move on to the actual receivers for a second, and you can see the differences. So one thing about the DJI Mic 3 receiver is you can unlock this part right here, and then this just becomes a smooth, they have a little piece that you can drop in. I'm not gonna do it, but that's where you would drop something in. And so once we get to this point, you can see the receivers are basically the same. Like, that doesn't really matter, it's negligible. They're gonna be roughly the same size and almost the same shape. The Lark just has a little bit of a pill shape, but that's purely aesthetic. And that kind of gives you an idea of what you could expect for those receiver differences. In my opinion, I still prefer the Mic 3 receiver, just because I got to make sure I say my things right, because this is just a solid cold shoe mount. Like, there is no moving piece here, whereas the Mic 3, they did give us that little clip option, which I prefer. It's just an extra feature that isn't necessarily required, but it's nice to have. And then we have the locking microphone jack right there, plus the headphone thing. And I like the fact that these are on the same side. And while this is, you know, it's nice that they gave us both monitoring options. They have the headphone monitoring on this side, the side with the power button, and then the camera thing right there. It's just a little bit less obvious. Like, if one of these had been red, if one of these had been maybe next to each other, there is like a slight, it's just not as easy to figure out which one is which in a moment, and you could plug it into the wrong thing in like a rushed moment. Whereas with this one, you're just not gonna do that. There's nothing on this side to worry about, so you're only plugging into this side, and it's clear that this is very different as the locking headphone cable, even if you don't want to use the locking part. One thing I would have liked to see is a red ring around this. I just think that would be a nice touch in general, to always have the audio monitoring with a little red ring as an industry standard. But that's just me, and that's more for like those moments when you're rushing and you're just plugging cables in, or something's gotten unplugged and you're just trying to fix stuff. So I return to this one feature that I absolutely love. You get to use the USB-C plugged into the phone with this entire receiver. You get all those benefits, the control, the visuals, everything. Whereas with this one, if you're plugging it into a phone, you get nothing, okay? So that's just something to consider, and maybe you actually prefer that. Again, I'm about helping you make the better buy, not about like selling you one of the products. And then that brings me to the OWS, these headphones, because that's gonna be one of the big feature differences between the two. Once we've gotten past the audio quality, then it comes down to the fact that these guys, for $60 less currently at the making of this video, or significantly less, you get these headphones that allow you to wirelessly monitor this audio, whether it's coming out of the little receiver, okay, this little guy right here, or the big one. It doesn't matter. You get to monitor the audio live, and it's like a 20 millisecond delay, which is basically nothing. Like, you really don't even hear that. And so I have really been happy with this. A double tap will mute the mic, so you don't hear anything coming through, and if you double tap it again, you can hear it. It's just a really nice way to monitor your audio, check your stuff, make sure everything's sounding good, and you can have those spread out amongst crew. So you could have one person that's, you know, directing and filming, another person who's doing something else, and they all have that audio coming through live, so you know you're getting it. They both have that internal recording feature and all of that. So I guess my main thing here is going to come down to the fact that if all you wanted to use was the mic, once we remove the clip and the fro, the fro, I like this little guy. I might change his face, but I still like him. Once we remove that, this is what you're getting for the size of the mics. Like, that's just incredible. It's so tiny. Compared to the two. And I think most people at this time are doing just a standing mic. You know, I don't think as many people are using the lav setup, but it's certainly out there. So if that is your unique use case, then yes, the Lark Max would be the way to go. But again, you don't get the ability to put all of your little things in this case, which to me is a deal breaker as far as like the travel around thing. I want the ability to easily and quickly grab just everything in one go. And that means that I let go of all of these things. However, I am going to be doing some tests in a little bit here because I want to see if I can start using this as my standard studio setup right here, because I've been using the Lark M2 and I like it. I just realized I had my necklaces on this whole time. I normally have those tucked underneath. But I like it. However, I want to see if I can get the Lark Max going, because I think that if I just do this, I can make this a really clean setup in here for me, where this guy's just tucked right there. And then I would get like all the features plus the wireless monitoring. I could go the lav mic if I wanted to. And so I think I'm going to check that out in the future. But if you're someone that was curious about these two things, this is kind of like my answer to all of that. And I actually am going to film some videos in just a second using the Lark Max 2. So once again, in conclusion, whether you are the pack everything, bring it all, make sure you have all the bits and pieces, or just the simple run and gun Mic 3, just that one little thing and you're good to go, then you should know which one is right for you. Whether you're one of those two, I think either one of these mics is going to do a great job for you. And I will say that because the Lark Max is cheaper, and that's not, not just a little bit cheaper. I mean, it's like a third of the price when you break it down. If let's just hypothetically say that the Lark Max was $280 and then the DJI Mic 3 was $330, hypothetically, if that was it, then that's a $60 difference, right? So 6 times, 3 is 18? Is that right? 6 times 3 is 18? Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you're not quite there. It's like a quarter of the price, somewhere around there. So that's still a pretty big difference when you're looking at price and you're getting just this package versus all of these things. And so then I think it comes down to, like I said, the aesthetics, the run and gun nature. This really easily fits in my bag, which is kind of the reason that I prefer it. So I've got my entire camera bag right here. This guy drops right in there. I have my Go Ultra sitting right there. I've got my little wind muffs right there. That guy sits there. I have the X5 tucked in on top of all of these, just like this. And then all of that sits together, just like that. And the whole camera bag has everything that I need, pretty much. I've had the X5 fast charger right there, just sitting on top of the DJI Pocket 3 that's tucked under there, plus my Pocket 3 adapter. Like, all of this is really simple and fluid for me, and I've got a nice setup going. I have everything that I need. The only exception that I would say is not having an extra battery pack for the Pocket 3, but what I've personally found is I just end up not using the battery packs when I'm in those situations, because you could just, I have a backpack that has like extra USB-C chargers and everything, and so I could just do that. This bag is actually by Start RC, and it's linked in my camera gear. It's the on-the-go studio link, and it has all of this. So if you want to see all of everything else that's in this bag, you can go check that out. But I really love this thing, and so that's kind of my conclusion of the DJI Mic 3 versus the Lark Max 2. And again, I think that the audio is going to be really good from either one of these. So if audio is the concern, it shouldn't be. I think it's those auxiliary features. I hope this helped you. Remember that action beats ideas when ideas don't take action. So let's rise with the tide, and I'll see you on the flip side.